Hey, what up bros? Welcome back to another video on Pokemon Sleep. Today we're talking about whether you should be changing islands at the end of the week. So I get asked this question quite a lot regarding at the end of the week, once you finish powering up Snorlax, whether you should be staying on the same island, going to the next island, or even going back to a previous island. So I get asked this question a lot because, well, what's better for you? To answer this question, and it's going to form my personal opinion here, it's not a standard recommendation for everyone, but to answer your question, first we have to look at favorite berries of Snorlax. Now, the game doesn't seem to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you now, is that only in Greengrass Isle, the first island that you start the game on, can the favorite berries of Snorlax change every week. And by feeding it favorite berries, especially if you're using a berry specialist, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go visit one of my other videos explaining what specialists are. If you're feeding Snorlax's favorite berries, especially if you're using berry specialists, you'll be able to rank him up, power him up a lot quicker than other methods like dishes and skills. But the little known fact is that in every other island, the favorite berries, are exactly the same every week. So even though in Greengrass Isle you can get any berries as a favorite, in Cyan Beach, and I'm going to refer to Cerebi.net as one of our main resources for information in this game, Oranberry, Peccaberry, and Palmtree Berry are set, so it's always going to be these three. In the next area, in Taupo, you will get Leperberry, Figgyberry, and Citrus Berry, and in the yet not very well-known area, Snowdrop Tundra, you get Rawsberry, Persimberry, and Wikiberry. Side note here, each berry is exactly a typing. So, for example, if you select normal typing, you're always going to get the Pokemons that farm that berry. So it's always going to be this pink berry here, I forgot its name. But you see, it's the same berry every time. So that's why sometimes you will see information presented like this. Like this post here, it says Oranberry, water. That's because water type Pokemon will always farm Oranberries. And Peccaberry is always fairy types, Palmtree berries always flying type, etc. And why it's important to know this? The question is whether you have the Pokemons available to farm those berries, especially with a berry specialist in that region. If you do, if you have at least a team of 3 to 5 Pokemons that are berry specialists and farms those berries, it's not a bad idea to move on to the next area. If, say, you didn't have any of these Pokemon that can farm any of these berries, you don't get double the strength of feeding a favorite berry, it wouldn't make as much sense. I would recommend you stay on another island where you can farm the berries off, or at least go to Greengrass Isle, the first island, in order to re-roll the favorite berries until you catch enough Pokemons to farm the next area, which you do have favorite berries, berry farmers for. And to give you an example, all these weeks I've only been farming the first 2 areas. That is Cyan Beach and also Greengrass Isle. I've not yet visited Taupe Hollow. So my question here is it worth me going to the next area? Now, the thing you should also know about these next areas is that the requirements to get higher rank, and I'm talking about this rank here, the requirements, the experience, the strength required to reach each next tier goes up with these islands as well. So it gets harder and harder for you to get higher and higher ranks. But we should still consider whether we should move on to the next island if we want to expand our sleep styles and rosters, because you can't catch every single Pokemon in this game by staying on one island. So to answer the question, I look at Leperberry, Figgyberry, Citrus Berry. So here in my Pokemon box, I filter for those either the types or the berries. So I go Leper, Figgy, and Citrus, and I check my team, and I look at these and I go, yep, there's quite a lot of Pokemon that are favorite berries, so I'm relatively ready. Am I super ready? Well, I'm going to check whether they're also berry specialists. Unfortunately, I don't see an option to filter for specialties. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to click into the Pokemon and just swipe across and see if I've got enough specialists in berries. I've got an ingredient specialist. That doesn't affect the favorite type of berry. So we're going to move on to the next. Larvitar, also ingredient. Sudowoodo, skills. Growlithe, skills. Bonsly, skills. Alright, you get the point. The only berry specialists I have, 2 of them. Cubone, which does this berry, but fairly slowly, I'd say 1 hour, 30 minutes. That's something you should consider also. It's a slow berry farmer, but I do get favorite and I do get a berry specialist. So that means compared to a non-specialist and non-specialist that is not a favorite berry, it's 4 times better every time it does earn berries. And I also have Cyndaquil, which is relatively quick every hour. And it's a berry specialist, and it is a favorite berry for Snorlax for Taupe Hollow. So I would say I'm okay for it. Of course, I have to now look at whether this Pokemon is high enough level, whether it's got, you know, enough of these sub-skills, natures, whether they're worth the investment to get to level 10. I have to look at all those factors as well to decide whether it truly is worth me going to Taupe Hollow, the next area. If not, keep farming. Go back a stage, keep farming until you've maybe cleared a lot of the island already. So what I'm talking about here is the percentage clear of each island. So you can see that I've done 28% of Greengrass Isle. There are a lot of overlaps in terms of the sleep styles. So you can see I haven't even visited Taupe Hollow, and I already have 18% completion in terms of the sleep style. So I click into this island and I check how much sleep styles I've done and how many Pokemons I've befriended. You know what? I haven't done that much. It's only been about 14% befriended Pokemon. Of course, it doesn't account for the fact that I don't really care about the evolved Pokemons. I'd rather evolve my own. So it's the true number here should be a little bit higher if they also include the whole evolutionary line. So while these percentages remain relatively small for completion, keep going on that island. Of course, at some point you'll find that you're repeating, catching the same Pokemon, same sleep styles. And you know what? Even if you haven't got the perfect team to start the next area, it might be a good time to move on anyway. So that's why I say, look, everything here I've said forms my personal opinion. It's really going to depend on your game, what you've caught, and what favorite berry Pokemon you've got for each island. Let's look at one more example, Snowdrop Tundra. While nobody has reached this far yet, that I'm aware of, I haven't even seen whales reach this far in the game yet. Maybe they have. All right. So 150 sleep styles to unlock this area. I have filtered for the 3 berries that are in favorite berries of Snorlax in Snowdrop Tundra. And I have 5 Pokemons. I do have less than Taupe Hollow. However, Rattata is a berry specialist. Spheal is a berry specialist. Eevee is not. Houndour is a berry specialist. And Slarkoth is a berry specialist, albeit a very slow one. 1 hour and 30 minutes to farm. So I do have a lot more berry specialists, even though they're all quite slow. So if I had the choice and I had unlocked Snowdrop Tundra, I would actually go for Snowdrop Tundra and just try my best to keep these 5 Pokemon energized throughout the day. Now, in order to help you build your team, you might be wondering, well, where do I get all these Pokemons? And I'll refer you back to Serebii.net. And you can see for each island, by the way, you can select the island up here. Select the island and see what each island Pokemon types and so typings there are. Obviously, each typing is a different berry. And you can also see whether they are berry specialists or not, and see whether it's worth farming that area as well. So you have to take into consideration what Pokemons you can get in each region. Now, we've talked a lot about islands in this video, and you might come to an understanding at this point that actually making a tier list for this game is kind of senseless because every island is going to require something different. So in fact, I would urge people to make tier lists per island rather than tier lists overall for the game. Because no matter how good Raichu is, it's not the right berry specialist for every island. In fact, out of the 3 islands that have set berries, Raichu, despite it being top tier, ignoring favorite berries, it doesn't even farm any of these berries. The only one it can farm as a favorite berry is in Island 1, Greengrass Isle, and that's a random chance which favorite berry you get. So yes, there are tier lists out there, but I urge people to make it per island rather than overall for the game, because it doesn't seem to make much sense. And by the way, if you keep scrolling down, you'll also see Pokemons that are found for each island only via incense. And if you were to keep scrolling, you'll also see the exact sleep style, and they're associated with the star level of the sleep styles. With the top belly ones, they're always the 4-star styles. You can see which styles get unlocked. So these are a lot of these are top belly, so they're the 4-star styles that you can unlock with each tier, and also tells you the strength at each tier as well that is required to unlock that tier. So whenever you see yourself ranking up Snorlax to the next tier, and it tells you it's unlocked like 20 or 30 new styles that you can encounter, these are the ones it's talking about. So it's adding these to the roster of Pokemon, or rather their sleep styles that can show up for that tier. It's adding them to your roster that can show up. One very interesting thing that I want to point out is that actually at Master 20, it does nothing. The highest you actually need for this island, for example, so this one is Greengrass Isle, and you can look at these yourself later. I'll leave a link to this website in the description below, but you can also ask me in Discord. The highest you actually need is Master 17. But that's not to say you can't get Magnezone earlier. You can still get Magnezone earlier. You can't get its upside down sleep style earlier. So to completely complete the game, you need to reach a minimum of Master 17 and still get lucky also to get that sleep style when you sleep. But you can get Magnezones a bit earlier, even up to around there, maybe even earlier than that. But of course, I'll let you guys do the research yourself. If this video helped you, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, I answer questions quicker on Discord. We also have a community of Pokemon Sleep players who are very active. So use my Discord. We've got quite a few chats now. One particularly recommended chat is Rate My Mom. You can post a screenshot of your Pokemon and let our community decide whether that Pokemon is worth keeping, worth investing either in the short term or the long term. And we'll assess the nature, we'll assess the sub skills for you, and see if that's a good Pokemon. Of course, these will all be very opinionated, so use our advice at your own risk.